Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Wowhead Chat. Today I'm here with our Resto Shaman guide writer Theun to discuss some of the initial reactions to the upcoming class changes on the next weekly reset. So, with
Yeah,
that,
what's up?
let's dive right in. Starting off by a nerf to Guardian Druid. Theun, how do you feel about this?
So the Ursox Fury change doesn't really seem like it does all that much. Not sure how much they're getting from that in like a Mythic Plus setting, but it doesn't seem like it's like a very big change defensively for them. Um, so probably still gonna be like just fine in Mythic Plus if I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean, the last nerfs only really hit their damage, which does kind of a little bit convert into survivability, but this directly impacts their survivability a little more. So I think it'll hurt a little more, but do you see Bear being knocked off the top position here? Or?
I think it probably stays the same. Maybe it's enough to put like Vengeance Demon Hunter. I know that was like a somewhat popular spec, maybe like a month ago before Bear really like took over. So maybe that'll pop up a little bit, but we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just with the number of mass pulls in Mythic Plus, I feel like this isn't gonna matter much.
Yeah, Bear's kind of unmatched when it comes to like just huge AoE packs, especially on Fortified. So yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, moving on down to Demon Hunter, I-Beam, and Feldev cannot be interrupted by school lockout effects. Um, any thoughts on this thing?
Uh, so do they even have another cast that they can get locked out on? I feel like that's the only one, right?
I think
I,
that's the only one.
I don't know what that. Maybe that's a PvP change or something. I've never really played Demon Hunter, so but yeah, it seems like a weird. Maybe it's just a bug fix or something. So
My thought was quaking. I mean, you always hear the demon hunters complain
yeah,
about quaking, but quaking doesn't exist. So the only other thing that I can think of is like bellowing shout or any of the random kicks in Mythic Plus dungeons that if you just mistime your I beam, you just lose damage.
yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Um, because I think everybody back in like when everybody used to press font and quaking popped up, got really sad and everybody had to deal with that.
Yeah,
But I'm guessing it's just a nice quality of life change. All right, moving on to mage. Starting off with a change to all mages for mass invisibility. No longer cancels inconsistently. Um, I think that's a
it,
good change.
yeah. I didn't actually know that this worked this way. This seems like from the way it's like reading that this might be abusable on some bosses. So this is probably a good thing that they're fixing this now.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some things of like mass invisibility getting broken out by like flask effects, but I don't think this is what it was targeting here, right?
Yeah, it seems more of like a like you press invis and then you're finishing a cast rather than so now it's going to break whenever you start the cast instead, which is like consistent with every other invisibility in the game. So
Yeah, like Shroud.
yeah, yeah.
All right, moving into Fire Mage, we have a few nerfs here, damage and also a proc rate. So, fire getting hit once again, huh?
Yeah, I kind of expect fire, maybe Shadow Priest and augmentation to just like every couple weeks they'll chip away at it until it's no longer going to be like the best spec anymore in Mythic Plus. Um, because none of these seem like huge numbers, but like it is still pretty far ahead from what I've heard. So
Yeah, I know after the last changes, in the last video, Tettles and I were like, even after these nerfs, fire still seems about where it should have been, and now this is probably like getting to the point where it's actually in line with some of the other AoEs.
yeah, this might be enough to where it's like you'll start to see people like start to shift away from Fire Mage, and then the really good Fire Mages will continue to like do really well in Mythic Plus.
Exactly.
So
Still does really well with PI though.
yeah, it does. 2 minute classes are pretty good together.
Yeah, so with the state of AUG, I feel like fire is still a good choice no matter what. All right, so moving on to our first healer here, some Mistweaver changes. How do you feel about these?
So it looks like it's shifting some of the focus away from clouded focus, which is on a choice node with ancient teachings. So ancient teachings buff seems good. Also, it doesn't apply to PvP. I know that was like running rampant, I think, in season one. So it's good that that doesn't apply there. Um, I really like this change. I don't like the clouded focus playstyle that you have currently. That they're it's like the 90% pick rate or something talent choice node. Um, so I'm glad it's getting changed. I think the reason that they run Quad Focus is because of their tier bonus and not because the talent was like underperforming. But hopefully we'll see something shake up there.
Yeah, as mentioned in the developer note, this seems to be, Holy Paladin was dominant before. While it was brought down, this is also bringing up some of the struggling healers, basically. So I think that's always a good thing. Try to balance things out in the middle here. And we'll see if it affects the meta. Do you think this is going to overshadow Holy Paladin? I guess we're going to talk about that next.
Yeah, I don't think I think Mistweaver is probably on the lowest end of the healers in Mythic Plus right now. So they need a lot more love than say like Resto Shaman or like Preservation Evoker. So I'm glad that they're getting buffed for Mythic Plus though.
All right. So speaking of Holy Paladin, a pretty big damage nerf there, and also a change to Blessing of Summer. What are your thoughts on this?
Damage nerf is probably okay. I think they just need to target AoE damage because their single target damage isn't like anything extravagant anymore. Um, the summer change, I feel like, is more of a symptom of like you blessing of summer your fire mage, which is getting PI and also augmentation buffs, and that's why blessing of summer does so well in Mythic Plus right now. And fire mage has like a bunch of little bitty ticks of damage rather than like really big bursts of damage. So uh, I'm kind of concerned for like how much damage they're going to do in a raid setting. Um, but they've reigned supreme for like a really long time, and I think they'd be still perfectly viable if even if they were the lowest damage dealing healer. So
Yeah, does this push Holy Paladin out of the meta?
for Mythic Plus, no, I think they're still going to be like pretty good, and maybe they'll be knocked down to like number two. But I kind of expect you really want some of the paladin utility that the class offers, and I don't think you're going to run prop paladin. Not sure how viable Ret is currently in the meta. Maybe that would be the fire mage nerfs would maybe be enough to put Ret in there, but I doubt it.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to Assassination Rogue. Some small buffs here, 5% basically. Uh, do you think this is enough to push them anywhere?
No, I think this is kind of a band-aid fix until I think they're supposed to be getting some more changes, hopefully in 10.2. So maybe this is just something to tide them over until then. But yeah, I've heard a lot of rogues like really hate how low assassination is right now. So
Yeah, I think melee struggle right now, just in general in Mythic Plus, and a
yeah,
5% buff ain't gonna do it. But once upon a time, Rogue was the dominant one. Now they're lacking a little. So
yeah,
all right, and lastly, we have the Protection Warrior, um, getting more buffs.
yeah. So they started off; they were really good in season one, right? And then what happened to them from season one to season two? Like what? Like did they just get like kneecapped or something? Or
Um, I'm not exactly sure, to be honest.
okay,
Um,
yeah, because it feels like they have been getting buffed repeatedly over the past month or two. So
if I had to guess for Mythic Plus, it's more just Bear brings more.
yeah,
Like it
that makes
brings
sense.
AoE healing, it brings Mark. Um, I mean, it's just a Bear is just an easier tank to play, a lot less easy to make a mistake on. So, um, or it's harder to make a mistake on. Sorry, but yeah, Prot has gotten buffed a lot. This is another one here, reducing his damage while in defensive stance to 5%. I feel like Prot warriors hate that.
Yeah, I don't even think, at least for a long time, they didn't even play in defensive stance anyway.
Yeah,
So they were just in the other stance instead. I'm curious to see because I know we saw it in like TGP. A couple teams played it on like a really high tyrannical Null Slayer, and I wonder if maybe that's enough to like push every team to do that in the TGP. But we'll see.
yeah, I think. I mean, the reason that they brought that in the TGP was specifically for Reflect to
Yeah,
kill the
yeah,
boss faster. So I mean, that's what Prot Warrior has always been used for in the past, and it will continue to be used for until they nerf Spell Reflection. Um, I don't think this is gonna be enough. I feel like Prot Warrior, if you just don't have shield block or you turn your back, you just flop.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
So I don't know how much this does, or if there's a lot of bleeds this season as well. A lot of things that will just go straight through block, and I feel like that kind of hurts a little. But why play Prot Warrior when Bear just exists?
Yeah, you just macro Iron Fur into swipe or whatever, and just get rank one
Yeah.
titles. You know.
Also, Battle Shout with a full like caster comp just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So, All right. So overall, what do you think of these changes, Thayan?
Probably still. It wouldn't surprise me to see like a couple more like chips away at like augmentation, especially, or uh, I still would like them to like nerf the effectiveness of like Mass Dispel in some of the dungeons instead. Also, wouldn't mind to see some actual dungeon changes rather than just class changes. But yeah, I mean, it's all of them seem like good changes, maybe just not enough to like break the Exodia comp just yet. So
Yeah, I think there's just too much synergy there for right now, unfortunately, between buffs, buffing someone else and stuff like that. It just all works a little too well together. I mean, I think this is going to bring it more in line, and maybe, if you have a friend that doesn't play something in the God comp, then you'll be more willing to. But I feel like keys are just capped right now,
yeah,
and don't think those are going anywhere anytime soon. So,
yeah. Hopefully, we see some dungeon changes soon. So
yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Thean. This was a look at the class balance changes coming next week, and we'll see you all next time. Bye bye.